If the U.S. Navy and the FBI cooperated to destroy pirates in the Caribbean Sea, do you think the operation would actually succeed? Absolutely. I believe it wouldn't just succeed, it would change the entire balance of maritime security across the Western Hemisphere. And the proof is in what happened during a real classified operation in April 2025, a mission that unfolded quietly, decisively, and with a level of coordination the world had never seen before. This was the moment when the United States made it painfully clear that piracy, drug trafficking, and offshore criminal networks would no longer be tolerated in the Caribbean. So before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Eagle Eye Military, like and share this video, follow the channel for more deep military breakdowns, and leave any questions you have in the comments below. Now let's break everything down and see why I'm so confident in that answer. Caribbean Sea, 4:20 a.m., April 17, 2025. The cargo vessel Marisol Dawn, sailing under a Panamanian flag, was making its usual run from Cartagena to San Juan. It was supposed to be a routine transit, one repeated calmly hundreds of times a year. But that morning, the ship sent a distress signal that would shock the entire region. The message was short, fragmented, and filled with interference, but the meaning was unmistakable. Multiple fast craft approaching, armed, we're under attack. A satellite-operated emergency beacon triggered milliseconds later, confirming a hostile boarding attempt nearly 40 miles south of Puerto Rico. When analysts at the Joint Interagency Task Force South reviewed the incoming data, they immediately recognized a dangerous trend. This wasn't a random hit. This matched the exact tactics of a rising pirate network that had been quietly terrorizing the sea lanes for almost 2 years. Multiple small high-speed boats, riding just low enough to avoid radar reflection. Communications jammers disabling ship radios. Armed men wearing improvised ballistic vests and carrying military-grade rifles believed to be sourced from collapsed Venezuelan stockpiles. And most concerning of all, the timing. These attackers struck just before dawn, using the perfect combination of darkness and horizon glare to hide their profiles. The crew of the Marisol Dawn locked themselves in the safe room while the pirates cut open the storage deck. The ship's automated cameras captured the silhouettes of men boarding and spreading across the vessel like a black tide. For the first time since 2017, a major commercial ship was being fully overrun in U.S.-controlled waters. Within minutes, senior officers at U.S. Southern Command were awake, scanning satellite imagery, reviewing the trajectory of the hostile vessels, and preparing a rapid response briefing. Something about this attack felt different. Faster. More organized. More coordinated. And far more dangerous than anything witnessed over the last decade. At 6:05 a.m., an emergency meeting was held at Southcom headquarters in Doral, Florida. Representatives from the U.S. Navy, the Coast Guard, and the FBI's International Criminal Investigations Division were pulled in immediately. That morning, no one argued about jurisdiction or who had operational priority, because the intelligence that came in over the next 90 minutes made the situation brutally clear. The pirates who boarded the Marisol Dawn were not just opportunistic criminals. They were working as maritime enforcers for a newly formed trafficking syndicate spanning Venezuela, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and several small offshore islands used as staging points. For months, these groups had exploited the political vacuum in Haiti, the financial crisis in Venezuela, and the declining maritime patrol capacity of several Caribbean states. Their goal was to create a shipping corridor for narcotics and weapons that stretched from South America to Florida. And to protect that corridor, they turned to piracy, intimidation, and open sea hijacking. The U.S. government knew they couldn't respond with Coast Guard patrols alone. This was no longer scattered piracy. This was organized maritime crime backed by cartel money and protected by regional instability. The only way to stop it was with overwhelming force on the ocean and precision intelligence on land. And that meant a joint operation between the United States Navy and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Later that same day, Operation Hurricane Shield was approved. Within hours, the first wave of American deployment orders was issued. From Naval Station Mayport, 2 littoral combat ships, USS Sioux City and USS Wichita, were tasked with rapid transit south. From Key West, multiple Coast Guard cutters were reassigned into a wide intercept pattern. And from Jacksonville, a squadron of MH-60R Seahawks prepared for immediate forward deployment to Puerto Rico. Meanwhile, the FBI mobilized 2 specialized teams. The first was a financial tracking unit focused on cartel transactions flowing through offshore banks in Barbados and Antigua. The second was an international operations task force composed of field agents trained specifically for maritime syndicate takedowns. Their mission was simple: identify, locate, and dismantle the leadership structure behind the pirate attacks. By sunrise on April 18, the Caribbean Sea looked very different. Dozens of unmanned drones, operated both by the Navy and by FBI cyber-technical specialists, were scanning for heat signatures of high-speed vessels. American aircraft, including P-8A Poseidon reconnaissance planes, flew wide arcs around known pirate channels. These aircraft weren't just searching for ships. They were mapping fuel signatures, engine frequencies, and radar anomalies associated with previous pirate attacks. Every detail mattered. For 36 hours straight, the combined intelligence network tracked a cluster of suspicious vessel movements heading north from the Venezuelan coast. These weren't typical fishing boats or cargo carriers. Their pace was slow, coordinated, and deliberately inconsistent, classic signs of vessels trying to blend in while hauling equipment, fuel, and personnel. Eventually, analysts identified a large converted trawler, disguised as a fishing vessel but broadcasting fake identification data. This ship, later codenamed the Mother Hull, was believed to be the mobile headquarters of the pirate network. Its job was to resupply the smaller attack craft, refuel them, and distribute weapons seized from earlier hijackings. If the United States could locate and neutralize this ship, the entire pirate fleet would collapse in a matter of days. But the real breakthrough didn't come from the sea. It came from inside an FBI operations center in Quantico. Using digital traces from cryptocurrency wallets tied to the attack on the Marisol Dawn, investigators discovered an encrypted channel used by a financial broker in Colombia. That broker was quietly directing funds into multiple Caribbean-based shell companies. From the outside, these companies looked like tourism operators and shipping services. But once FBI analysts decrypted their internal transfers, a different picture emerged. These were the financial arteries feeding the pirate network. They purchased fuel, weapons, spare boat engines, bribe payments, and satellite phones. Without them, the pirate fleet couldn't operate for more than 3 days. The FBI's discovery gave the U.S. Navy exactly what it needed: the predicted movement pattern of the mother ship. That pattern placed it within a 40-mile radius northeast of Dominica, moving slowly, using irregular navigation, and shutting off its AIS transponder whenever reconnaissance aircraft came near. On the night of April 20th, the USS Sioux City moved silently into the area, maintaining electronic stealth and using passive sensors to detect distant engine noise. The Coast Guard cutter Charles Sexton patrolled the southern perimeter, ready to intercept any escaping fast craft. Meanwhile, a pair of MH-60RS equipped with FLIR systems hovered high above the clouds, scanning for thermal traces. At 1:47 a.m. on April 21st, one of the helicopters detected a faint heat signature. It was low, flat, elongated, matching the exact dimensions of the suspected mother ship. The vessel was moving at barely 6 knots, drifting northward as if trying to blend into maritime traffic. But this time, there was no escape. At 2:13 a.m., the United States Navy closed in. The USS Sioux City cut its engines to a near whisper, gliding forward on momentum while its sensors painted a precise outline of the target. The MH-60R overhead relayed real-time infrared imagery directly to the ship's Combat Information Center, confirming what analysts had suspected for days. This was no fishing vessel. This was the heart of the pirate syndicate. Its decks were cluttered with fuel drums, improvised weapon crates, and the unmistakable heat signature of 3 fast attack craft secured along its starboard side. The pirates were asleep. They never saw the Americans coming. At 2:21 a.m., as the Navy ship approached within hailing distance, the pirates suddenly activated a jammer, an outdated device with a limited range, but enough to disrupt basic communications. It was a desperate, clumsy move that confirmed their identity. The response from the United States was immediate. The Sioux City initiated a deafening warning blast, cutting through the night like a shockwave. Moments later, loudspeakers demanded the vessel cut power and prepare for boarding. Instead, the pirates scrambled to launch their fast craft, kicking engines into life and firing wildly into the darkness. The night sky flickered with muzzle flashes, unstable and panicked. The American crew did not panic. With calm precision, they deployed a small tactical boat carrying a Navy visit, board, search, and seizure team, highly trained specialists capable of taking a hostile ship in minutes. Meanwhile, the Coast Guard cutter closing in from the south activated powerful searchlights, freezing the 3 pirate boats in stark white beams. Caught between 2 American ships and a Recon helicopter above, the pirate fleet tried to split and escape, but the geography worked against them. Islands to the east, shallow water to the west, and directly ahead, the full weight of the United States Navy. The chase that followed lasted 12 minutes, but those 12 minutes felt like the unraveling of an entire criminal empire. 2 pirate boats attempted to race north, but the Coast Guard cutter intercepted them with controlled disabling fire that shattered their engines without harming the crews. Another vessel tried to veer west into the shallows, but the MH-60R hovered overhead, its spotlight illuminating every move until the pirates surrendered. The remaining attackers, realizing they were surrounded, lowered their weapons one by one. Not a single American sailor was injured. By 3:04 a.m., the mothership was under full U.S. control. The boarding team secured the decks, detained 28 pirates, and uncovered evidence that painted a chilling portrait of the network's ambitions. Detailed maps of shipping routes, payment ledgers tied to multiple cartels, encrypted phones, fake naval insignias, and lists of future targets scheduled for hijacking. Most shocking of all was the cargo hidden below deck. Over 2.3 tons of processed cocaine, neatly packed for transit toward the U.S. mainland. It was the largest maritime narcotics seizure in the Caribbean in nearly 7 years. With the pirate fleet neutralized, Operation Hurricane Shield entered its second phase, dismantling the land-based network that funded, equipped, and directed the piracy operation. This responsibility fell squarely to the FBI, and they moved with absolute speed. Within hours of the mothership's capture, agents in Miami, San Juan, Santo Domingo, and Cartagena initiated synchronized raids across 3 countries and multiple island territories. These raids targeted financial officers, logistics brokers, corrupt port officials, and the syndicate's key money launderers. The FBI's International Task Force worked alongside local partners, using sealed indictments compiled quietly over months. In Miami, agents stormed an office building in Brickell that disguised itself as a shipping consultancy company. Inside, they found encrypted servers used to coordinate pirate payments and direct the flow of laundered funds into offshore accounts. In Puerto Rico, a warehouse near Ponce contained spare engines identical to those used on the pirate attack boats, along with crates of ammunition sourced from illegal Venezuelan stockpiles. And in Santo Domingo, authorities arrested a high-ranking logistics coordinator who had been moving fuel and supplies between multiple Caribbean islands, often using fishing permits as cover. In total, the raids led to 14 high-value arrests, the seizure of nearly $70 million in cartel-linked assets, and the freezing of dozens of financial channels the pirates relied on for survival. Within 3 days, the entire network collapsed. Without money, without leadership, and without a fleet, the syndicate disintegrated. Cartel representatives attempted to re-establish communication lines, but all their nodes were silent. Every key participant was either detained or under active pursuit. What made this victory so remarkable wasn't just the scale of the operation. It was the unprecedented coordination. The U.S. Navy provided overwhelming dominance at sea, neutralizing threats with precision and discipline. The Coast Guard enforced maritime law and prevented escape routes. And the FBI dismantled the criminal network from the inside out, cracking financial encryption, tracking digital footprints, and identifying the syndicate's core vulnerabilities. Operation Hurricane Shield proved that modern piracy cannot survive when confronted by a unified American response. One that combines military force, intelligence penetration, financial warfare, and regional partnerships. But the environment that shaped this conflict cannot be ignored. The Caribbean, with its complex terrain, has always been a haven for small, fast, agile vessels. Hidden coves, narrow channels, and uninhabited islands provide natural cover that can frustrate even modern navies. Weather patterns shift without warning, cloud density interferes with infrared tracking, and dense shoreline vegetation hides both refueling points and escape paths. The pirate leaders exploited these features expertly, using local knowledge to weave through the sea like smoke slipping between cracks. Yet even in this challenging environment, the United States demonstrated superiority. By using satellite-linked sensors, persistent drone surveillance and air-sea coordination, the Navy closed the gaps that geography once protected. Every advantage the pirates believed they had was systematically eliminated. The final stage of the operation unfolded quietly. On April 24th, the last detained pirate leader was transferred to federal custody. On April 25th, the seized mothership was towed to a secure naval facility for forensic analysis. And on April 26th, U.S. Southern Command issued a formal statement confirming that the most dangerous maritime crime network in the Caribbean had been dismantled in its entirety. What they didn't publicly disclose, but what later internal reports confirmed, was the true scale of the threat. The syndicate had planned to expand to 8 fast attack craft, 2 motherships, and multiple land-based staging hubs. Had Operation Hurricane Shield occurred even 3 months later, the region might have faced a wave of maritime violence far deadlier than anything witnessed in the past decade. Instead, the operation became a defining victory. A demonstration that the United States would not allow its surrounding waters to become a haven for transnational criminal empires. A reminder that American sea power, when combined with intelligence and law enforcement, remains unmatched. And a clear warning to any group considering similar operations: the Caribbean Sea is not ungoverned space. It is defended, monitored, protected. When the crews of the Sioux City and Wichita returned to port, they were met with quiet recognition. No parades, no headlines, just a deep respect from those who understood the magnitude of what they had stopped. The FBI agents returned to their offices carrying hard drives, documents, and evidence boxes that would fuel prosecutions for years. And the sailors who boarded the mothership returned to duty with the knowledge that their actions had saved countless civilian lives. Operation Hurricane Shield closed with a simple conclusion, one that echoed through every branch of the American response. Piracy may evolve. Cartels may adapt. Criminal networks may hide behind islands, fake companies, or encrypted channels. But when the United States chooses to act, the outcome is decisive. Fast, final, absolute. And that is why, when asked whether the U.S. Navy and the FBI could successfully destroy a pirate network in the Caribbean Sea, the answer is not theoretical. The answer is already written in the events of April 2025. It happened. It worked. And the region is safer because of it.